Welcome, friends. Today, you are about to embark on an extraordinary journey into mysteries that lie far beyond our everyday imagination. We will explore dimensions, those invisible layers in which our world is embedded. In this exploration, you will discover why scientists believe that our existence is not limited to just 3 dimensions, but that there may be countless mysterious layers, hidden beyond what we can see and touch. This journey will take you from basic understanding to advanced physics, all explained in simple, soothing language so that as you listen, you can drift into deep sleep, relaxation, and a meditative state. If you have a passion for uncovering the secrets of the universe, then stay with us on this journey. Have you ever thought about how deep the world we live in really is? How real is what we see with our eyes and what lies hidden behind it all? Dimensions, or what we call spatial extensions, might sound like a very technical term, but their roots are deeply connected to our everyday life. When you draw a straight line, when you create a shape on the ground, when you walk through a room every single time, you are experiencing dimensions. Yet we don't realize it because it has become so ordinary to us that we never look into its depth. Imagine, if you place a single dot with a pencil on a simple piece of paper, you have created a 0 dimension. This dot exists at a single location without any length, width, or height. But as soon as you drag that dot forward, it becomes a line. This very line is our first dimension. Now, if that same line is extended away from its direction, we get a surface, which we call the second dimension. Our everyday life begins with this understanding. The easiest way to understand dimensions is to think of them as a story unfolding layer by layer. The first layer, the second layer, the third layer, and each layer takes us deeper. But when scientists talk about dimensions, they don't limit themselves to just length, width, and height. They ask, is there something else? Is there another hidden layer that we cannot see, but that affects our existence? This very curiosity leads us to the deepest and most mysterious discoveries in physics. Scientists like Einstein told us that space and time are not separate entities. Rather, they combine to form a 4th dimension. This is where the world of dimensions becomes even more complex and fascinating. But hold on, before we move forward, we need to start this journey slowly. We will understand dimensions in an easy and calming language so that they not only occupy space in your mind, but also bring peace to your heart. This journey is not just about science. It is like meditation, like a slow breath where you feel connected to the universe. So today, in this first part, you have learned that the foundation of dimensions is quite simple. From a point to a line, from a line to a surface, and from a surface to our world. This beginning is very basic, but this very foundation will carry us forward. In the coming sections, we will step by step move toward those mysteries where dimensions go beyond our imagination and touch the depths of the universe. Now you can close your eyes comfortably. Take deep breaths and prepare yourself for the next part where we will talk about the first dimension, a simple line, and how this line initiates the language of the entire universe. Imagine that in front of you is a white sheet of paper. On that paper, you have made a small dot. This dot is an existence in itself, but it has no length, no width, and no height. It is just a location, like a mark in nothingness. Now, if you start to move that dot forward, slowly a straight line is drawn before you. This very line is our first dimension dot to understand the first dimension. We can call it simply length in the most straightforward language. This straight line extends in only one direction, forward or backward. On this line, you can determine the location of an object, but it will have no width or depth. Think of it like a railway track, but where there's only one direction and no expansion within it. If you were standing on this line, it would be your entire world. You would only have the option to move forward or go backward. There would be no path to your left or right. There would be no existence of up or down. For you, every experience of life would be limited to just that one line. Here is an interesting point. We humans, who live in 3 dimensions, often overlook this first dimension. But it is the very foundation on which all other dimensions stand. Without a line, the concept of a surface cannot exist, and without a surface, the world of depth is not possible. Now you might think, why are scientists interested in such a simple thing? The answer is because dimensions are not just mathematical imaginations. They describe the structure of reality. The first dimension teaches us that to understand the universe, we must first recognize the basic building block, and that block is the line. Have you ever listened to music? Every tune, every note flows in a linear progression from beginning to end. This too is somewhat like the first dimension. If we consider time as just a line moving forward, we feel as if life is also flowing on that one path. But remember, we are not viewing this journey from a purely mathematical perspective. This is a meditative journey. When you calm your mind and focus on the thought of how a line was formed from a point, you will feel as if you are standing on the straight path of your own life. The road ahead is infinite. The road behind is lost in memories. And this very linearity is the identity of our lives. The first dimension also teaches us that simple things are the deepest. It is not just a straight line. It is the first breath of existence. This is why both scientists and philosophers agree that understanding dimensions is understanding life itself. As we move forward in this journey, you will see how this line, which appears so simple, becomes the foundation for the next layers. Our next destination is the second dimension, a surface where not only forward and backward, but also left and right paths open up. This is the real magic when the world transforms from flat to plain dot. So now take a deep breath. Close your eyes and think of that straight line glowing in the darkness. This is the very line that will take you to the next chapter where we will open the second layer of dimensions. Imagine before you an empty field, the ground spread out all around you, straight and level. In it, there is not just one direction, but two directions, forward and backward, left and right. This is the second dimension, which we call a plane. When we saw the line in the first dimension, it was just length. But as soon as that line is moved away from its path and extended in another direction, we get a surface. This very surface takes us into the world of the second dimension. Now think if you lived inside this two-dimensional world. What would your life be like? You could only move forward, backward, and left and right, but up and down would not exist for you. Height would have no meaning for you, just like a picture drawn on paper. If the people in that picture were alive, they could never imagine that there could be a world above or below them. For us, this imagination is a bit easier because we live in a three-dimensional world. But if we put ourselves into that two-dimensional universe and think, we would feel as if our life were very limited. This very point compels scientists to think about dimensions. If the third dimension is hidden for a two-dimensional being, could there also be hidden dimensions for us that we cannot see or feel? To understand the second dimension, we can also take examples from everyday things, like the screen of your mobile or computer. Whatever images you see on it are all two-dimensional. They have length and width, but they do not have real depth. Yes, we can create the illusion of depth with graphics, but in reality, they are limited to just the surface. The important thing to note here is that the second dimension is very significant in both mathematics and art. In mathematics, it is the world of geometry where triangles, squares, and circles are formed. In art, this very dimension is the foundation of painting and designs. When a painter creates a scene on a canvas, they are expressing their imagination on that two-dimensional plane. Now you can feel that understanding dimensions is not just scientific curiosity. It is also part of our creativity and imagination. This is why the journey of dimensions not only stimulates the mind, but also brings peace to the heart. Slowly now, we will move beyond the surface. We have seen that a line was formed from a point and a surface was formed from a line. Now the next step is that when this surface rises in another direction, a new world will open before us, the third dimension, where there will be depth, height, and the very world we see with our eyes, everyday dot. So now take a deep breath in with the eyes of your mind. Imagine that level surface, as if the universe has spread a vast canvas before you. This very surface will take us to the next section, the third dimension, the real picture of our actual world. You are sitting wherever you are right now. Just look around. Your room, the walls, the door, the table, the chair, and even your own body, everything is part of the world of the third dimension. This is the very dimension in which we are born, live, and create all our memories. We have seen so far that a line was formed from a point and a surface from the line. But after reaching the surface, if that surface is lifted in the direction of up or down, we get depth. This very depth gives birth to the third dimension. Length, width, and height, these three coordinates together, give us the space we call space or the sky. This is the three-dimensional world. Here, every object has a shape, a volume, and existence. This is why we can hold an object with our hands, walk around it, and feel its weight. Think if a two-dimensional being could see this three-dimensional world. For them, it would be no less than a miracle. For them, our rising, standing, or going behind an object and hiding would all seem incredible. Similarly, there may be a higher dimension for us as well that we simply cannot understand today. Asterisk. Living in the third dimension feels very natural to us because this is our everyday world. But if we think deeply, this dimension is just as mysterious as any other. Why? Because it is in this very dimension that we can feel the vastness of space. When you look at the stars in the night sky, the distance you're measuring is the gift of this third dimension. In physics, the third dimension is the place where matter takes its full form. Atoms combine to form molecules, molecules combine to form structures. And these very structures give us planets, mountains, and oceans. Asterisk if we consider the building of dimensions as a house. Then the third dimension is its living room, the place where we live, breathe, and experience. But there is another interesting thing here. The third dimension also limits our thinking. We often assume that this is the entire reality. But science tells us that this is only one layer that we can see. There may be something beyond it as well. Yet, for meditation, if you focus on the third dimension, you will find that it is extremely soothing. Asterisk close your eyes and feel that you are standing in a vast room whose walls extend to infinity. You can touch the objects around you, feel their scent, see their shapes. This experience grounds you, connects you to the universe. Now we have crossed 3 steps of dimensions. From point to line, line to surface, and surface to depth. That is our world. But the story does not end here. After this comes that layer which is the most mysterious for us, time. Asterisk. Let us move toward the next destination in this journey. The next section will take us into the 4th dimension, which we know as time. The very time that makes us age, that moves us forward every moment, and that is the most mysterious power of the universe. Just pause and pay attention to the pace of your breath. The breath you just took existed only for that moment. Now it has passed, and the breath you are about to take is still hidden in the future. This is time, our 4th dimension. Asterisk, we live in a world of 3 dimensions, length, width, and height. But if we confine this universe to only these 3 dimensions, everything would become static. There would be no movement, no change. Suppose a chair placed in your room is only in 3-dimensional space. It would just remain frozen in one place forever. But in reality, this is not the case. The chair ages, dust settles on it, and one day it may even break. Why? Because it is bound in the stream of time. Time is the dimension that allows our life to flow. Asterisk. We can say that whatever shapes and objects exist in the 3rd dimension become part of a story in the 4th dimension. This is why Einstein said that space and time are not separate. Together they form a single fabric spacetime. An easy way to understand this is to think of it like watching a movie. Whatever characters move on the screen are actually made of frame by frame. Each frame is a still image in itself. But when they are connected in the direction of time, the whole story is formed. Our life is also like that, each moment connecting to create a continuous experience. Asterisk, the effect of time is everywhere. From morning to evening, the changing sky, the coming and going of seasons. a human being reaching from birth to old age, all these are signs of the fourth dimension. Even our thoughts are bound by time. You can think of memories from the past, dream of the future, but you always live in the present. Time is often explained as a straight line from the past to the present and from the present to the future. But science tells us that it is not that simple either. Asterisk. Einstein's theory of relativity says that time is affected by speed and gravity. This means if you travel at very high speed, time can slow down for you. And if you're near a very massive object like a black hole, the flow of time can also change. This sounds like a science fiction story, but it is the truth of our physics. Think if time is slow for someone and fast for someone else, would both of their lives be the same? This very question takes us into the depth of the fourth dimension. Asterisk, but for meditation and relaxation. If you want to experience this thought, close your eyes and imagine that you are sitting by a river. The flow of water is streaming before you. Every drop that has flowed away is the past. The drops that are about to reach you are the future, and the drop that is right in front of you now is the present. This is the real experience of time continuously flowing, never stopping. Asterisk. So far, we have crossed 4 steps of dimensions. 3 dimensions give us space, and the 4th gives us time. But this journey does not stop here. In the next section, we will see how Einstein connected space and time together and gave us the key to understanding the universe from a new perspective. This opens the path that takes us toward the 5th dimension. Asterisk. So now, comfortably balance your breaths and feel within yourself the thought that you are swimming in the stream of time. Because the next destination is Einstein and the magical world of relativity, asterisk, think that you are looking at the night sky. Stars are twinkling in their places. The moon is slowly moving across the sky. This scene seems stable to us, as if everything is stuck in its place. But the truth is far more mysterious than this. This very mystery is explained to us by Einstein's theory of relativity. Einstein made us understand that space and time are not 2 separate things. They both together form a single fabric, which we call spacetime. Asterisk, imagine that the universe is like a vast cloth. If you place a heavy object on that cloth, like a ball, the cloth will sag. Now, if you roll a small ball on that cloth, it will start to revolve around the big ball. This is exactly what happens in our universe. Heavy objects like Earth and the Sun bend this space-time. And this very bending is what we experience as gravity or gravitational force. Newton considered gravity as an invisible force that pulls things. But Einstein said gravity is not a pull, but the curvature of spatime. Now understand this with a very simple example. Suppose you are walking on a straight road. The path is easy for you. But if the road suddenly takes a turn, you also have to walk along that turn. Similarly, when spacetime bends, objects follow that curve. This is why Earth revolves around the Sun. The Sun has created a dip in spacetime, and Earth is moving on that curve. Asterisk, Einstein's theory of relativity also forced us to understand time in a new way. Earlier, we thought that time is the same for everyone. But the truth is that the speed of time depends on your circumstances. If you travel at very high speed, let's say near the speed of light, then time will slow down for you. This is called time dilation. For example, if one twin brother stays on Earth and the other travels in a spaceship at the speed of light and returns, the brother in the spaceship will remain younger in age. This means time flowed differently for both. This sounds like a dream, but it has been proven through scientific experiments. Asterisk. Now you can understand that Einstein showed us that time and space are not rigid. They are flexible. They are a single fabric that can stretch, bend, and even expand. This is the very concept that opened the door to modern cosmology. For meditation, if you want to experience this thought, close your eyes and think that you are standing on a vast ocean. Waves are slowly rising and falling. This very ocean is space-time, and you are a small particle floating on it. The waves carry you, bend you, and determine your journey. This is Einstein's universe, a dynamic, living tapestry. Asterisk. The impact of this thinking was so profound that it prepared us for the next steps of dimensions. Because if space and time together can create such great power, what will the next dimensions be like? Now our next destination is the fifth dimension, a realm that is beyond our eyes but exists in science and asterisk. So now slow down your breath and feel that you're standing on that very cloth of space-time that is spread everywhere. This very cloth will take us to the next section into the mysterious world of the fifth dimension. Asterisk, if you've walked carefully with me so far, you will have seen that we have covered a long journey. We started with our three familiar dimensions of everyday life: length, width, and height. Then we understood the mysteries of the fourth dimension, time. And now we stand at a point where curiosity is calling us toward the fifth dimension. This is the part where the boundaries of science and imagination begin to touch each other. What is the fifth dimension? In simple terms, it is an idea in which we are not limited to just time and space, but can access all those possibilities that are hidden in our lives. The universe and reality. Have you ever thought that if one small decision in your life had been different, your entire story could have changed? Like if you had decided to stay home one day instead of going to school, or if you had remained silent instead of talking to a stranger? These very small choices can take our fate on different paths. Asterisk. Scientists understand the fifth dimension as the home of all those options and possibilities. Imagine you are reading a book. On every page of the book, the story progresses. The first dimension is the length of that page. The second is its width. The third is the thickness of the page. And the fourth is the order in which you read them, that is, time. But the fifth dimension is that library in which thousands lakhs of alternate versions of that same book are kept. In one version, the hero wins. In another, he loses. In a third, the story never even begins. The fifth dimension connects all those possibilities together and lets us understand that reality may not be just what we are seeing. Asterisk in science. String theory is used to explain this. According to this theory, the fundamental elements of the universe are tiny vibrating strings. Just as different notes are played on a guitar string, different vibrations of these strings create different particles and laws. Now, if we look toward the fifth dimension, we can assume that all these laws work not in just one way, but in countless ways. And each way can give birth to a new universe. Asterisk, do you think this is just the imagination of science fiction? The truth is that many scientists believe that the possibility of the fifth dimension may be far more real than our four-dimensional experience. If you think in everyday life, it is like we are part of the current of water flowing in a river. We feel that water is flowing in only one direction, but when viewed from above, you will find that the river also has different branches. And each branch tells its own story. Asterisk, now think that if reaching the fifth dimension were possible, what would it mean? It could mean that every choice of your life already exists somewhere. In one universe, you are a scientist. In another, an artist. In a third, perhaps you have not even watched this video. This thought is as wonderful as it is mysterious. And this is the real power of the fifth dimension. It shows us visions of possibilities beyond our imagination. Asterisk slowly. When you close your eyes and give this thought a place in your mind, you will feel that reality is not just what is in front of you, but also what may be happening elsewhere. The fifth dimension is a window that connects our universe to the ocean of the multiverse. And this very thought prepares us for the next journey. Because after this, we will move toward the sixth dimension, where not just possibilities, but entire alternate universes stand before us. Asterisk. Are you ready to think that our universe is not alone, but part of countless universes? This very mystery we will understand in more depth in the next section. Now we have reached that point where our journey is going to become even more amazing. You have understood the fifth dimension as the home of all the possibilities of our life in the universe. But now the sixth dimension takes us much further. It does not just make us realize the possibilities. It shows us glimpses of entirely different universes. Asterisk, it is like entering a vast library, where every book is the story of a different universe, and the events, laws, and realities of every book are completely different from each other. Imagine you are standing in an infinite corridor. On both sides of this corridor are doors. Each door opens into a different universe. In some universes, the laws of physics are just like ours, but the events are different. Somewhere you're the same person, but your life has gone on a completely different path. And somewhere there's a universe where life never originated on Earth. Somewhere the sun is blue. Somewhere gravity is very strong. And somewhere time flows at a pace completely different from our imagination. This queue of infinite doors is the glimpse of the sixth dimension. Asterisk. Now the question arises, can such universes really exist? Scientists explain this very thing through the multiverse theory. According to this theory, our universe is not alone. It is just one bubble in a lake of countless bubbles. Each bubble is an independent universe with its own separate laws and stories. And the sixth dimension is where the existence of all these bubbles meets together. Asterisk. To understand it in simple words. Imagine you have a vast book in which all possible mathematical equations and laws of physics are written. Now every page creates a new universe based on those laws. On one page, it is written that gravity is very powerful, so stars form very quickly there. On another page, it is written that the speed of light is different, so the form of life there will be beyond our understanding. This very book is the symbol of the sixth dimension. Asterisk. Now, why is this thought so deep? Because if the multiverse really exists, it means we are not alone. This universe, which seems so vast and unique to us, is actually just one chapter in a book of countless chapters. And think perhaps somewhere in another universe, there's someone else just like you. The same face, the same name, but living a completely different life. Doesn't this thought excite you? Asterisk. The sixth dimension makes us realize that the boundaries of reality are much bigger than our eyes can see. When you keep this thought in mind and count your breaths, you will feel as if you are entering a state of deep meditation, as if your consciousness is expanding and touching those countless universes. Asterisk. But here another interesting question arises. If all these universes exist, can we ever travel to them? Will science ever advance so far that we can open those doors and enter other realities? This question takes us to the next section because the seventh dimension explains to us how all universes and their possibilities are bound in a larger framework. Asterisk. So far, we have imagined countless universes in the sixth dimension, each with its own separate laws and realities. But the seventh dimension gives us an even more amazing and deeper perspective. It is not just the existence of separate universes. It is a vast network that connects them all. Think you are standing in front of a vast web. Every thread of this web is a universe. Some threads are close to each other, some far, but every thread is connected to this web in some way. This very connection is the symbol of the seventh dimension. It tells us that universes are not separate units. They are part of a larger structure, like every bead in a garland of beads is connected. Asterisk, if we understand it in an even simpler way. Suppose you have a vast library of books. In the sixth dimension, we saw each book separately. But the seventh dimension shows us that all these books are different forms of the same language and laws. This means that even though the laws of each universe are different, they are all connected to the same deep principle or the same original source. Asterisk. Some scientists have tried to connect this to superstring theory and M theory. According to them, all dimensions in all universes are actually part of the same large mathematical and physical structure. The seventh dimension gives us the sense of that very invisible thread that binds everything together. Now experience this thought in a meditative state. Close your eyes and imagine that around you are countless doors, each of which opens to a different universe. But now, as you breathe deeply, you realize that all these doors are actually connected in one vast structure. You are not alone in a room, but part of that web that connects everyone together. This realization fills deep peace and expansion within you. Asterisk. The seventh dimension forces us to think about whether our reality is truly independent or whether we are all part of a large pattern, a cosmic network. And if this is true, it could mean that our consciousness is also connected to this network. When we meditate, when we get lost in dreams, perhaps we unconsciously touch this network. This thought leads us to another deep exploration. If universes are connected to each other, is travel between them possible? Can we ever walk on this network and go from one universe to another universe? Asterisk, this question takes us to the next section, where we will discover the mystery of the eighth dimension, that place where every possible universe and every kind of law connect with each other. To form an infinite pattern, asterisk, now we have reached that level where the scope of our imagination becomes even more vast. Understanding the eighth dimension is like seeing that map in which not only our universe or its parallel universes are included, but also the maps of every reality whose laws and structures are completely different. This is the point where the number of possibilities goes beyond counting. Think you have seen universes so far as a vast web, with every thread a different universe. But the eighth dimension is also the structure of that entire web, and also of all those webs whose laws may be different. Asterisk. It is as if we begin to understand the story of one book, the story of another book, and the patterns of all those stories together. Here, the matter is not limited to just what could be. It becomes a complete map of what all is possible. To understand it in simple language, imagine a vast garden. In the sixth dimension, we saw that there are different trees in the garden, and every tree is a different universe. The seventh dimension showed us that all these trees are connected to the same soil and roots. But in the eighth dimension, we can see the entire forest from above. And not just this forest, but countless other forests whose soil, air, and weather may be completely different from each other. Asterisk at this level. The patterns of reality are such that we cannot fully understand them yet. Some scientists believe that if we ever experience the eighth dimension, we will also be able to see those laws that are beyond our universe. Perhaps there are realities there where mathematics itself works differently, where logic and laws are completely beyond our understanding. Now experience this thought in meditation. Close your eyes and think that you are standing in an infinite field. Countless paths are spreading around you. Every path goes toward a different universe. But when you look from above, you realize that all these paths together are creating a vast pattern, like some wonderful geometric figure that never ends. This is the beauty of the eighth dimension. Asterisk, it makes us realize infinite patterns where every possibility, every law, and every reality exists. At this level, one more question arises. Is our consciousness also part of these patterns? Are we just living in one universe, or does our soul have a connection to this infinite structure? If this is true, it means we are all part of a cosmic design, and every thought, every experience of ours finds its place in that infinite pattern. Asterisk, and from here, our journey takes us to the next stop, the ninth dimension. There we will learn that when infinite patterns are also not enough, reality calls us toward even deeper mysteries. Asterisk. Now, we have reached that boundary where both our thinking and imagination slowly begin to tire. Understanding the ninth dimension is like standing on the edge of infinity. Here we do not just talk about universes, their patterns, and their laws, but we see the possibility of the simultaneous existence of all those infinite structures. This is the point where the difference between possibility and reality becomes blurred. Imagine you are standing on the shore of an infinite ocean. So far, we have seen different islands of this ocean. Each island was a universe. Then we understood entire island groups and the relationships between them. But in the ninth dimension, you do not just see islands or groups. You see the entire ocean, countless islands, countless currents, and the infinite form of all those laws. Asterisk, this realization makes us understand that reality is not just what we are living, but also what we can never even think of. Now let us understand this with a simple example. Think you have a canvas. The first dimension is a straight line. The second dimension is a shape on it. The third dimension gives it depth. The fourth dimension changes it in time. And as we move forward, the canvas becomes bigger and more complex. But the ninth dimension is such that you not only have one canvas, but countless canvases. And all the possible pictures that can be made on them already exist. These pictures may not just be physical, but also mathematical. philosophical and related to consciousness. Asterisks try to experience this in meditation. Slowly breathe in and out. Now imagine you are standing on the peak of a high mountain. In the valleys below, you see countless paths. Every path goes toward a life, toward a universe. But now your vision has become so wide that you can see all those paths in one picture. This is the ninth dimension, where different paths now become part of an infinite map. Asterisk from a scientific perspective. The ninth dimension represents that level where there is a large framework above all physical and mathematical laws. It is like some programmer has created countless software, and each software works in its own world. The ninth dimension is like that programmer's language library from which every code, every law, every possibility arises. But with this thought comes another deep point. If the ninth dimension really exists, does it mean that the number of universes is truly infinite? And if it is infinite, is everything you can think of already happening somewhere? Asterisk. This question shakes us to the core because it could also mean that every imagination, every dream, every fear of yours exists as a reality somewhere. Here our journey becomes even deeper. The ninth dimension brings us to the threshold of infinity. But even after that, one more mystery remains: the 10th dimension. There we will understand that final point where even infinity begins to seem limited and where the biggest secret of reality is hidden. Asterisk. We have now reached that summit from where ahead. Both imagination and knowledge go beyond their limits. Understanding the 10th dimension is like touching the final layer of all existence. This is the point where every universe, every possibility, every law, and every infinite pattern merge together into one grand structure. This is the ultimate reality, the source of all realities. Asterisk, think about all the dimensions we have seen so far. They were all connected in a sequence. From the first to the fourth, they explain our everyday world and time. From the fifth to the ninth, they take us toward possibilities, alternate realities, and infinite patterns. But the 10th dimension is the essence of all. It is as if you were reading a vast book in which not only the story of every universe is written, but also the language in which all these stories became possible. Asterisk to understand it in a simple way. Think that what you have seen so far were all different musical tunes. Each universe was a different song. But the 10th dimension is that silence, that deep peace from which all tunes are born and into which they ultimately return. This is the point where every note becomes one, where every universe merges into the same ocean. Now close your eyes and breathe slowly. Imagine that before you is an infinite ocean of light. In it, there is no boundary, no shape. You dissolve into it and feel that your consciousness has become part of that ocean. Now, you are not just a person, but the heartbeat of all existence. This very experience is the symbol of the 10th dimension. Asterisk. This is the ultimate reality where no I and you remain. Only oneness remains. Scientifically speaking, the 10th dimension is almost impossible to put into words. Some theories believe that this is the level where the theory of everything is hidden, such a law, such a principle that can connect and explain the universe and everything beyond it. It is as if there is a final code from which the entire multiverse is made and runs. Asterisk. But this thought is not just of science. Many philosophical and spiritual traditions have also talked about this very ultimate reality. In Hindu philosophy, it is called Brahman. Buddhist thought calls it emptiness. And in Western philosophy, it has been known as the absolute. Different names, but the experience is the same, that point where everything becomes one. Reaching this level, the meaning of our journey changes. Now it is not just a story of counting dimensions. It becomes a journey of our consciousness. Because when we understand that everything ultimately came from the same source and returns to it, we experience deep peace and contentment. Asterisk, and this is the gift of the 10th dimension, a perspective that takes us beyond our limits and gives us the experience of oneness with this vast universe. Now that we have completed this amazing journey to the final dimension, in the next sections, we will connect this entire understanding to everyday life and our consciousness, because the exploration of dimensions is not just a scientific story. It is also the path to peace and balance within us. Asterisk. Now we arrive at that mysterious and most profound concept of modern physics that calls us M theory in the 11th dimension. If the 10th dimension gave us the experience of ultimate reality, then the 11th dimension explains to us how that final reality can be expressed physically and mathematically. This is the boundary where both science and imagination reach their peak. Asterisk M theory is an extension of modern string theory. It tells us that the basic units of our universe, which we call particles, are not actually vibrating strings but higher dimensional objects called brains. These brains are multidimensional and can be fully situated in the 11th dimension. In simple words, just as a thread is only in length, a brain can spread in many dimensions. And these very brains are the foundation of our reality, our universe, and other possible universes. Asterisk imagine before you is a vast library. In the 10th dimension, we saw that each universe is like a book. But in the 11th dimension, these books do not just remain books. They turn into multidimensional shelves connected to all branches of a vast library. Each shelf is the foundation of some universe, and they are all connected together on the basis of vibrations, energy, and potential. Here's another simple example. Think you are swimming in a pond. On the surface of the pond, waves are visible. This is our perceivable reality. But in the depth of the pond, where light reaches less, there are currents and flows that are different from the surface. M theory and the 11th dimension are also somewhat like that deep structure that we cannot see, but that makes everything possible. According to scientists, the 11th dimension is the point where all string theories connect together. As if earlier we saw many different laws and guidelines, but the 11th dimension tells us that their source is the same root. This thinking gives us more depth in the study of the multiverse. Here, it is also possible that the laws and possibilities of universes other than ours are located in different dimensions. But all are bound in the framework of theory. Asterisk for meditation and visualization. Experiencing this is also wonderful. Close your eyes and think that you are floating in infinite multidimensional space. Every vibration, the oscillation of every energy is felt around you. You feel that your own consciousness is part of that vast brain network. This experience shows you that your existence is not just in this three-dimensional world, but is part of a multidimensional fabric. So, M theory and the 11th dimension not only help us understand how the universe was made, but they also make us realize how vast, complex, and interconnected our reality is. Here, every object, every energy, and every possibility is situated on some brain, and all of this together creates that wonderful cosmos that we experience. And this is the deep secret of the 11th dimension, is that mathematical and physical form of ultimate reality, where infinite possibilities, parallel universes, and the structures of the universe are all interconnected. Asterisk. This is the dimension that connects science and consciousness together and shows us that our understanding and perception are just the beginning. Asterisk. Now we enter that wonderful and mysterious world that we cannot see with our everyday eyes, the quantum dimensions or the subatomic world. This is the level where the laws of our familiar universe gradually begin to change. And in the world of tiny particles, infinite possibilities are hidden. Imagine you are standing on a vast mountain. From below, the river flowing seems stable and clear to you. But if you could see every drop of that river's water, you would find that inside every drop, there are countless particles, energy, and vibrations happening. This is the quantum world, a microscopic universe that is hidden from our perception. Asterisk. Quantum physics tells us that in this microscopic world, particles never appear definitively. Their position and motion cannot both be completely certain at the same time. This is called Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. In simple words, if you know the location of a particle, you cannot accurately estimate its motion. And if you know its motion, the location becomes unclear. This law is completely opposite to our everyday world's experience. Asterisk, but quantum dimensions are not limited to just laws. Here, Phenomena like superposition and entanglement exist. Superposition means that a particle can remain in multiple states at the same time, like a coin in the air being both heads and tails simultaneously. Entanglement means that two particles, no matter how far apart, can instantaneously affect each other's state. This shows that in the quantum world, our classical understanding does not work, and the boundaries of time and space become flexible. Asterisk now to make experiencing this easier. Use meditation. Close your eyes and think that you are floating in a microscopic universe. Every particle, every vibration is rotating around you. You can feel that their different possibilities coexist together. At the same time, a particle is in many states, and your consciousness is observing it. This experience shows you that quantum dimensions are not just theoretical. They exist for our perception and affect our reality. Asterisk. These quantum dimensions have a deep connection with our larger universe as well. Scientists believe that quantum events occurring at small levels, such as the behavior of particles, can affect the structure and evolution of the larger universe. That is, from the subatomic level to the multiverse, everything is interconnected. This realization is even more expansive for our consciousness. We are not just three-dimensional humans. We are also part of the quantum fabric. Asterisk, and this is the beauty of quantum dimensions. It shows us that the world around us is not as stable and certain as it seems. Infinite possibilities are hidden in every particle, and our perception and awareness can turn them into reality. This chapter prepares us for the next journey, where we will connect the influence of dimensions with our consciousness and life experiences. Asterisk. Now we move toward that mysterious and powerful place where the physical laws go beyond our ordinary understanding. Black holes, or such massive gravitational objects that pull even light inside them. Black holes are not just huge things. They also give a glimpse into the deep secrets of dimensions and explain to us how extreme gravity can bend space and time. Asterisk. Imagine you're standing on a vast trampoline. If you just put a light ball on it, the trampoline bends slightly. But if you place a heavy ball there, heavier than even the sun, the fabric of the trampoline will bend deeply. This very effect happens in black holes, but the scale is so vast that even light cannot escape here. This very extreme gravity distorts the fabric of space-time so much that, for us, time and distance there become completely different from our understanding. Asterisk. Einstein's general relativity tells us that gravity is not just pulling something. It bends space-time. Black holes are the most extreme example of this. If you go near a black hole, your perception of time and space will gradually feel changed. For you, the clock will start running slowly, and distances may appear shrinking or growing. This is known as time dilation and spaghettification. Asterisk in clear words. If an astronaut reaches the event horizon, the boundary of the black hole for external observers, their speed will appear very slow, but the astronaut themselves will feel that they are gradually falling toward the black hole. This event shows us how extreme gravity can twist and distort dimensions. Here, space is not just length, width, and height. It becomes flexible. Asterisk now for meditation and visualization. Feel this. Close your eyes and think that you are standing on the edge of a vast, deep pit. Below, an invisible vortex is spinning. As you move closer to the vortex, you realize that the ground, the sky, and time are all distorting. You can slowly feel that your consciousness is being stretched with that space-time fabric, and everything is rotating around you like a vast whirlpool. Asterisk black holes also explain to us that beyond our three-dimensional perception, dimensions exist. Scientists believe that the singularity, the center of a black hole, is the point where all known dimensions collapse and the need for higher dimensions is felt. This is the place where quantum dimensions and extreme gravity together challenge our perception. Asterisk. The deepest message of this chapter is that black holes are not just mysteries. They are real proof of the powers of dimensions. There we see that space and time are not static. They are flexible, can twist, and in extreme conditions, completely transform. Black holes teach us that even the most wonderful and powerful phenomena of the universe are deeply connected to the power of dimensions. Asterisk. With this understanding, we will move toward the next section where the mystery of time travel and higher dimensions will theoretically appear possible within our perception. Asterisk. Now we move toward that imaginative yet scientifically proven concept that we often see in films and books, time travel and how it can be connected to higher dimensions. When we step outside the boundary of four-dimensional time and space, we understand that time is not just linear. In the context of higher dimensions, time, space, and possibility become fluid and flexible together. Asterisk, imagine that time is like a straight road. In everyday life, we walk on this very road, a beginning, an end. But in higher dimensions, this road can twist, fold, and loop. This means that theoretically, you could go back to an event or see some event in the future. This is not just imagination. In Einstein's relativity and some theories of modern physics, these possibilities are hidden. Asterisk, Einstein told us that when an object moves at extreme gravity or near the speed of light, time slows down. This is called time dilation. For a simple example, think that if an astronaut travels near a black hole, time runs very slowly for them while on Earth. A few years pass for the astronaut, only a few hours or days. Higher dimensions can theoretically allow such conditions that we can observe events from the past or future. This is also somewhat connected to the concept of time travel, where past, present, and future are not linear but flexible and interconnected. But keep in mind this is still theoretical. We cannot physically time travel and may never be able to. Yet this understanding of higher dimensions makes us feel that time and space are not absolute. They can be fluid and flexible according to our perception and consciousness. Asterisk now for meditation and visualization. Experience this? Close your eyes and imagine that you are floating in a multi-dimensional corridor. Every layer, every vibration, and every energy field around you is full of possibilities. You feel that you are not just an observer, but a co-creator. This experience shows you that reality is not as static as it appears. It is constantly unfolding and evolving. Asterisk. The biggest message of this chapter is that higher dimensions are not just abstracts. They are theoretical pathways that force us to think that the laws of time and space are far more complex than our everyday experience. When we visualize these pathways in our mind and consciousness, we experience deep peace and expansion, an experience that connects us to the multiverse and quantum possibilities. Asterisk, and with this understanding, our journey moves toward the next section where we will explore the deep relationship between consciousness and dimensions. Asterisk. Now we are moving toward that wonderful and deep mystery, where human consciousness and dimensions appear connected to each other. If higher dimensions are the foundation of the structure and possibilities of the universe, then consciousness is the medium through which we can experience and understand these mysteries. In simple terms, our consciousness is that gateway that gives us the possibility of reaching the infinite aspects of the multiverse. Asterisk, imagine that around you is an infinite multidimensional landscape spread out. Every dimension is a different path. Every universe is a different story. Our eyes and perception can only see the third and fourth dimensions. But when going into the depth of meditation and awareness, our consciousness begins to feel the subtle patterns of higher dimensions. Just as a musician does not just hear sound, but experiences vibrations and resonance, similarly, our consciousness can sense the depth of dimensions. Asterisk, according to quantum physics. The role of the observer is extremely important in reality. When we observe a particle, it determines its position and state. Similarly, in higher dimensions, our consciousness activates those possibilities that we can perceive. Meditation and awareness make us experience even stronger. When we focus on our breaths and attention, our consciousness gradually reaches those subtle vibrations and patterns that are outside normal perception. Asterisk, let us understand it with an easy example. Think you're standing in front of a very complex kaleidoscope. At every turn, countless patterns are formed. Our normal consciousness can only see those patterns that are directly in front. But when going into the depth of meditation, we begin to understand that the patterns are interconnected. They have a large geometrical design. Higher dimensions and consciousness are also somewhat like that, where our mind begins to feel the infinite possibilities of the multiverse. Asterisk, the way to feel this in meditation is simple. Close your eyes, breathe slowly, and imagine that your consciousness is floating in a multidimensional corridor. At every level, you feel new patterns and vibrations. Your consciousness is resonating with infinite pathways. You can understand that your thoughts, your energy, and your awareness are connected to higher dimensions. Asterisk. The most important message of this chapter is that consciousness is not just a passive observer. It is an active participant. The way to understand and experience higher dimensions is in the depth of our consciousness. The more we expand our mind and awareness, the more we can feel those subtle, multidimensional patterns that shape the universe and multiverse. And with this understanding, we will enter the next section where we will see how dimensions shape our lives and everyday reality. Because whether we are at the quantum scale or the cosmic scale, dimensions are affecting everything. And we are at the center of that experience. Asterisk, now we move toward that mystery where the deep understanding of abstract dimensions and the multiverse connects with our everyday life. We often think that the laws of our life are limited to just our perception and daily experiences. But the understanding of higher dimensions shows us that the universe around us is very layered. And the subtle influence of these layers affects our everyday reality. Asterisk, imagine you are standing on the shore of a vast ocean. On the surface, the movement of water is clearly visible to you. But in the depth of the water, there are currents and flows that shape the movement of the surface. Our three-dimensional perception can only see the surface, but higher dimensions can help us feel those hidden currents. This is why sometimes we feel intuition, gut feelings, or sudden insights. These are the subtle effects of multidimensional influences. Asterisk, according to quantum physics and neuroscience, our perception and decisions are influenced by multidimensional reality. Our thinking, our energy, and our consciousness interact with higher dimensions. For example, when we make a decision, we do not just consider our four-dimensional experience. The energy of our subconscious and consciousness resonates in many possibilities. This is why meditation and mindfulness practices give us the experience of clarity and alignment. These practices connect us to the vibrations of hidden layers and subtly reshape the direction and quality of our lives. Asterisk, visualizing, this is easy. Close your eyes and think that you are standing on top of a multidimensional grid. Each layer is vibrating like different frequencies and energy. Your thoughts and emotions are interacting with those vibrations. When you remain aware and centered, you can feel subtle influences on the circumstances and outcomes of your life. Higher dimensions are not just theoretical. They are an active part of our perception and experience. Asterisk, this means that synchronicities, coincidences, and intuitive moments in our lives are not just chance. They are subtle signals of multidimensional reality. Higher dimensions explain to us that the universe is not linear and rigid. It is a dynamic and interconnected web in which our consciousness is an active participant. Asterisk. The most important message of this chapter is that when we understand the interaction of higher dimensions and consciousness, our life does not just become the result of reactions. It becomes an experience of creativity, awareness, and alignment. We can co-create with the multidimensional universe and see our reality from a new and broader perspective. Asterisk, and with this understanding, our journey moves toward the next section where we will explore dimensions and energy, how the vibrations of the universe work around us and within us. This chapter will show us how the relationship of energy, vibrations, and dimensions is so important for our experience and existence. Asterisk. Now we move toward that wonderful and mysterious aspect where dimensions and energy are intimately connected to each other. The structure of the entire universe, whether it is the microscopic quantum level or the cosmic scale, works on the basis of vibrations and energy. Higher dimensions show us that energy is not just motion or heat. It is the fundamental language of the universe, and vibrations are what shape it. Imagine you're standing on the shore of a vast pond. When you throw a stone into the water, waves spread. These waves not only create vibrations on the surface of the water, but also in the depths within it. Higher dimensions also do the same. Each dimensional layer oscillates in its unique frequency and vibration. These very vibrations affect physical reality, quantum events, and consciousness. According to quantum physics, subatomic particles are in constant vibration. Strings, branes, and energy fields always keep oscillating. These very vibrations affect our perception and existence. For example, light, sound, and matter are all forms of vibrations. The understanding of higher dimensions shows us that these vibrations are not limited to just the material world. They extend to every layer of the multiverse. Experiencing this in meditation and awareness is extremely pleasant. Close your eyes and breathe slowly. Now imagine that around you are invisible vibrations. They are interacting with your energy field. Your thoughts, emotions, and awareness are resonating with those vibrations. As you remain centered and aware, you feel that the vibrations of the universe and your inner energy are harmonizing in a rhythm. This very experience is the subtle influence of higher dimensions. This means that the universe is not just a static structure. It is a dynamic vibrating network in which every particle, every energy field, and every consciousness is interconnected. The synchronicities, patterns, and intuitive insights around us are part of this vibrational network. Higher dimensions teach us that the right alignment of energy and vibrations can profoundly shape our lives, thoughts, and experiences. The most important message of this chapter is that the universe continuously communicates through vibrations and energy. Our consciousness is part of this dialogue. When we feel vibrations with awareness and alignment, we connect with the deeper structure and infinite possibilities of the multiverse. Higher dimensions do not remain just abstract concepts. They become a living part of our experience, creativity, and existence dotted with this understanding. We move toward the next and final section where we will learn how to integrate the essence of this entire journey into our lives and consciousness. Now, our journey has reached its final section. We have seen that dimensions are not just abstract scientific concepts. They are fundamental to the structure of the universe, consciousness, and the deep layers of our experience. Higher dimensions, quantum worlds, black holes, and energy vibrations have all taught us that reality is far more vast, interconnected, and dynamic than our perception. But the question is, how can we integrate this wonderful knowledge into our everyday lives? First, awareness. The understanding of higher dimensions in the multiverse gives us the realization that we are not just three-dimensional humans. Our thoughts, emotions, and consciousness are part of a multidimensional fabric. When we practice meditation, mindfulness, and deep reflection, we learn to resonate our inner energy with the vibrations of the universe. This means we can gain subtle control over our decisions, reactions, and perceptions. Second, alignment. Quantum and higher dimensional understanding tells us that the universe constantly communicates through vibrations and energy. When we remain centered and aligned, we can feel these signals and patterns. For example, sometimes intuition or gut feeling shows us the right direction. This is not just coincidence. It is the subtle influence of higher dimensional vibrations and consciousness. By expanding our awareness, we can better observe synchronicities and opportunities in our lives. Third, expansion of perception. Dimensions teach us that reality is not linear and fixed. Time, space, and matter are flexible. When we internalize this, our thinking and creativity also expand. We do not see challenges just as obstacles, but begin to perceive them as multidimensional learning experiences. This approach profoundly enhances our inner peace, adaptability, and problem-solving skills. With the help of meditation and visualization, experiencing this is also possible. Close your eyes and think that your consciousness is freely traveling in a multidimensional corridor. Every layer, every vibration, and every energy field is becoming part of your experience. You feel that you are not just an observer, but a co-creator. This understanding of higher dimensions shows you that your choices, awareness, and presence continuously shape your life. So, in the end, this journey was not just of knowledge or science. It was of a deeper understanding of our existence and consciousness. Higher dimensions teach us that nothing in the universe is static, and our perception, awareness, and alignment are part of that infinite fabric. When we adopt this perspective, life does not just become an experience. It becomes an exploration, a wonder, and a celebration of infinite possibilities. So when you next see the world around you, remember, you are not just a human being. You are an active participant in a multidimensional universe. Your consciousness, energy, and awareness resonate with higher dimensions. And this very understanding gives you peace, clarity, and profound connection. Thus ends our 20-chapter-long journey through all dimensions in physics, explained in detail. We have explored the wonderful and infinite layers of the universe through quantum worlds, black holes, time travel, consciousness, and energy vibrations. And now, when you close your eyes and relax with calm breaths, you will realize that you are not just an observer, but a living part of that infinite cosmos. Welcome to this journey. Today, in this exploration, you have discovered all the dimensions of the universe, from quantum worlds to black holes and ultimate reality. If you enjoyed this journey, let us know in the comments which dimension you found most fascinating. Relax, get ready for deep meditation and bedtime, because now you can resonate with the vibrations of higher dimensions and drift into peaceful sleep, knowing you are part of something infinitely larger than yourself.